How's it going, friends and family of the internet? Welcome to the Real AF TV podcast, show about fishing and random takes from the land of 10,000 lakes. I'm one of your hosts, Josh LaBaw.
And I'm the other host, Tim Wagner.
Ooh, Tim,
Yeah.
I almost missed that. I almost missed our cue to start, dude.
Right.
We're recording this before the Super Bowl, and it came into my head right away. I was like, oh, yeah, dude. We're just having casual conversation, but I hit record already. So, bitch.
Yeah. And I honestly thought you were going to be like, oh, let's go a little bit later. And then you were like, oh, it's almost that time. And then you just went into the start. That's why I was like, oh, you hit me with the fucking the counter punch. I thought you were going to, and then
I bobbed, and you thought I was going to weave.
I thought you were going to weave, and you bobbed, and I got popped.
All right, let's do what we do, and just dude, let's get into it. Let's get into the fishing news. Fishing random takes, as I already said. If you're new to this, welcome. Thank you.
Yes.
How'd you find us? Leave it in the comments. And if you're on podcast and you can't leave it in the comments, if you go over to realaf.tv/contact, you can just talk to us. Tell us how you found it, because that would be great. I'm keeping all of this in the fishing news, and my clickbait headline is 7th grader wins a truck ice fishing.
Yeah, dude. I heard about that.
Did you hear about it?
I did, yeah.
Sick, dude.
Yeah.
Tell me, because, okay, I got mine from Outdoor News, our go-to classic here. We get a lot of the stuff from Outdoor News. If you didn't know, if you're not from up north here, Outdoor News is everywhere. Go to a bait shop, Outdoor News. It's like an old school newspaper. Shit's great. So I just look it up online.
Yeah.
And how did you hear about this, Tim?
I believe my wife told me about it.
Oh, really? Nice.
Yeah. Because do you have the ice fishing contest name? I'm blanking. Is it like
I do, actually. So I'll kind of jump into that. So this 13-year-old, that's why I said 7th grader. I'm not going to say his full name. They did. So go over to YouTube, find the link, click on it, read the whole thing, because we just sum it up here, but I put the link in the YouTube video. So you'll be able to read the whole thing over there on Outdoor News. But 13-year-old kid, Paternos is the family last name.
Okay.
From Hutchinson, dude.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
They were up at Brainerd at the JC's Ice Fishing Extravaganza.
Yes, that's what I wanted to say was JC's, and I was like, for some reason, like that. I'm thinking, I was like, or is that the electric company? But it is JC's, and then there's like a J Bird electric company. So that's why I was like, I don't want to start saying it and sound stupid.
No.
That's why I was like, JC's. Do you have it there? But yeah, did you know that is the world's biggest ice fishing tournament? That is the biggest in the world.
Outdoor News didn't say that. No.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Really?
Yeah, that's the world's biggest ice fishing tournament. That's why they're giving away trucks and stuff. Yeah.
So on that note, this is what I was curious about. Like, okay, so now that you say that, makes a lot of sense, because we'll get into the truck in a second. But also, this kid, right?
Yeah.
Earlier, like, they get there early in the morning. They're ready to drop lines. Like, it didn't say this, but it's like you can assume that they were ready to drop lines, like, as the whistle was blown, right?
Sure.
Because early in the tournament, early in the morning, he catches a tulipy.
Ooh.
Nice sized tulipy.
Yep.
That would have got him 25th place.
Yeah.
You know what he would have got for 25th place?
A
fucking ATV still.
Because that's like random, right? I think it's almost like random, kind of. Like 25th isn't necessarily like a good spot to have, but I think it's like one of those random things, like 24 through like 15 don't really get anything. It's just like a random, like you ended up hitting 25th. And that's where the ATV is.
Okay.
So it's
because I was thinking that everybody just got really dope prizes. So
no,
I was thinking from like first place to 25th place got super sick shit.
I think some of it's skill and some of it's luck, where it's just like wherever you fall, like you could have sucked shit that day.
Right.
And like number 100 scores a, trip to Disney World. I don't know, whatever.
Right. But yeah. No, you make a really good point because it's one of those numbers, right? Like 100, 50, 25.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm sure there probably are prizes for hitting all those different spots. But it's like certain ones like that are like, that's the ATV, that's the truck.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I got you.
Did you see he gets his choice between two?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. I didn't write it down,
Isn't
but
that
go
cool?
ahead.
I like that. I think it was a Chevy and a Ford.
Yeah.
They're literally just like
150. I think it was just yeah. It was a 150 and a no, it was a Canyon. So that's a GMC, I think.
Oh,
it doesn't matter.
A smaller one.
Well, have you seen them lately?
Yeah, they are bigger, but yeah,
they're big. They're like the Silverado of our day now. Like
they are
a Silverado back when in like the early 2000s, late 90s. That's a Canyon now.
There's only
trucks got fucking huge.
Those are only available with the 6-cylinder as the biggest motor.
Ah, right. Okay.
So that's a 6-cylinder, or there's a turbocharged 4-cylinder diesel.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, dude. That's the crazy one where I was looking into that one for a little while because I was like, damn, dude, like a 4-cylinder diesel, because it's rated to tow just about as much as the regular truck.
Yeah, I was gonna say, has it fucking shitload of torque in it, doesn't it?
Yeah, but then all of a sudden, like, diesel's expensive, and I tried to sit in one, and I'm just not made for anything smaller than like a full-size truck or SUV. Like,
right?
I'm just,
yeah.
I'm too tall. My head hits the roof.
Right. I know. I squeeze into our little sedan, and I'm 6-7 inches shorter than you. and I squeeze into that some bitch, and I go, God damn, if they would have got anything less than a full size sedan, you wouldn't even be able to drive that thing.
Oh, dude. Yeah. And there's weird stuff that you don't even think about. Like where if I get a vehicle with a sunroof, the sunroof actually like loses you a couple of inches of headroom. Oh. So then I'm like stuck like getting a more base model, because if I add a sunroof to a lot of vehicles, I lose headroom, and I'm like, no shit. Yeah, because I have a long torso. Yeah. So like I'm not a huge dude, but sitting like I'm pretty tall. So.
You're tall when you sit.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So, okay. Yeah, we kind of sidetracked ourselves there with car talk. But yeah, so JC's Ice Fishing Extravaganza on Gull Lake up in Brainerd, which, I mean, if you're in Minnesota, you know Gull Lake, you know that name. You know that. You know that name, and if you don't, now you know.
It's a legit lake if it's the biggest ice fishing tournament in the world. You can't hold that on a small tournament, right? Small lake.
Yeah, and so, this kid pulled a 29.5-inch walleye at 9.45 pounds.
Yeah, so that's probably how you win the truck. It's like that one's more of a skill. The tulipy, I think, is getting you just in like a good spot,
right?
And that walleye is like, oh, you caught a legit fish today, son. Here's your truck.
Yeah, for sure. Because, dude, even second place was only a 5.67 pounder.
5. Oh,
yeah. So this kid just trounced like,
and he was everybody. First place.
Yeah.
So
he got first in this tournament to win the truck, right?
Okay.
So he got first place with a 29.5-inch walleye at 9.45 pounds.
Yeah, dude.
Second place's walleye was only 5.67.
Yeah, dude. I mean, like that's almost a fish of a lifetime. Like,
dude,
that
for real.
A 10-pound
huge walleye.
A 10-pound walleye is like what a 10-pound bass is to like people down in Florida. Like, it's for that sure.
That's a really good way of putting it.
Yeah, it's that benchmark of like, I got the 10-pounder. Like, that's what it is around here. A 10-pound walleye is totally achievable, but ultra rare still.
Right.
Where I think a 10-pound bass down south is a little bit more fathomable, but that 10-pound walleye is out there. It's
common.
It's not. Maybe they're pretty close. I feel like the bass are a little bit easier to catch. That you can trick a 10-pound
I got you. I get what you're saying. It's not that the weight is the thing. It's just that the bass are more aggressive, right?
More opportunistic.
There you
is
go.
how I would say it.
Sure,
Like you can
sure,
trick
sure.
them into eating, where a walleye, a 10-pound walleye, could just be like, "No, I
Nah.
ate. I already ate," and it won't have anything to do with your bait.
I gotcha. So yeah, that was pretty cool. It was cool that it was a kid from Hutch. Just knowing
Very
like
cool.
our vicinity of where we grew up,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
Like our where me and you met and everything like that. To know
It's
that
like
this
20
kid's from
minutes
Hutch.
away. Yeah.
Yeah. That's our neighbor town for sure.
Oh, for sure. And we know plenty of people from Hutch too. So
Yeah.
it's cool. Spent a lot of time there too, because the town we grew up in didn't have shit.
Right. Yeah, this was the town that we went to go do shit.
Right.
Yeah, so it was cool. When I seen that, I was like, okay, I'm gonna bring this one up on the podcast. It's cool that it made its way into your. That's kind of one of the things I play with. Like when I find things like this, I'm like, I wonder if Tim already heard about this, because he's like in the loop.
Oh yeah, dude. I always hearing stuff just weird ways. It's like
That's
somebody's
cool.
like reaching out. My wife's saying it, my mom's saying it, my sister's saying it. And somebody will just send me a video randomly.
Yep.
Next thing you know, shit. Like, oh yeah, dude. Yeah,
bitching.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it was cool. It was like 13-year-old kid. It was like, I think I'm a little famous. It said that in the article, because it was just like by the time he got home, like they already knew about it in town. So like he was being approached. Like, hey, you won a truck. It's really good.
Right.
Nice.
Hell yeah, you're famous.
Yeah.
People are going to be talking to you about that for the next 2 years in your town for sure. Probably 3 or 4, you know?
Oh,
up until you're 16, everybody's
right.
gonna you're gonna have
what
every idiot town just being like, hey, I can drive it for you until you're old enough. And then when he's 16, it'll be time for them to just be like, you can finally drive that truck, huh? Yeah, sweet. All right.
Sweet. All right. Not even because in the article they interviewed his dad, and they're like, well, we're gonna sell it. He can't do anything, so we're just gonna sell it, and we're gonna invest the money in something else. So he's just gonna be sitting on this pile of money. You know, he'll be able to get his own truck now when he's 16, which is great. But like, kick ass, put it in like, I don't know, the stock market. Let it grow 3% in the next 4 years. You know what I mean?
Like, that's smart, as long as it doesn't put in like, I mean, I guess it's like whatever you want to do. That's smart. It's money you didn't have before.
Right.
If you want to put it in some high risk stocks and hope for the best, cool, I guess.
Yeah. They just said they were going to invest it because like he can't drive it for 3 years. So I'm like, who cares?
No, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Even just investing it in like in the bank or whatever.
Right. Yeah. Like even just putting it in a savings account right now, that much money.
Yeah. Getting a little bit on it.
Pretty valuable little truck.
For sure.
Yeah.
So new truck, doesn't matter what it is. That's all it needs to say is new truck, and you know it's not cheap.
Right, exactly. All right, let's get into some housekeeping. I got an update on the pike from short. It's coming along really well. We are not reaching our goals so far of posting a good photo or a short every other week, along with the podcast, essentially. But here's the thing, I'm learning a lot. I established a lot, and so I kind of have like working points with it. Won't be long now, and we will have our first short up, and then Tim, we can go from there.
Nice.
That's the best I can say.
I like it. Starting point is a starting point.
Right. Exactly. So hopefully we still end up living up to our goal. If you don't know, go over to realaf.tv. Our goals are right there at the top. But I just wanted to give an update that it's coming along really well. I'm in the last, I got 3/4 of it done. That's what I'll say. I got 3/4 of it done. So keep an eye on our YouTube and Instagram and all that other stuff. Keep checking our feeds. We're gonna have a short up soon for sure. Thanks to everybody over on YouTube. Speaking of the goals and stuff like that, that's one of our better videos. It's doing great. We got the at Real AF. Remember Real like Fish and Reel at Real AF TV over on YouTube. So you can find us there. Please keep sharing and liking and all that fun stuff. This podcast is brought to you by the RealAFTV.Patreon, but we'll talk about that in between the two topics. Remember, this podcast comes out every other Monday. Yes, that's every other Monday. We put out a full podcast. In our off week, you can go over to the YouTube channel that I was just talking about, and you will see the topics split out. But you will miss the fun shenanigans of the beginning. You will miss the fishing news, and you will just get straightforward topics. Nothing else. So if you're listening to the full version right now and you know somebody who's digging us on YouTube, say keep digging them, but maybe check them over out on Spotify too. I finally got the Amazon links up. Amazon, Audible, I found them. Apparently Amazon, you just have to have an account now and you can listen to podcasts because Amazon Music is behind the Amazon Prime window or wall or however you want to put that.
Yeah.
But I think that it is not for podcasts anymore. You can just use your Amazon account and listen to podcasts. Like podcasts are just open to the public, Spotify style. So hit us up, realaf.tv/contact, and let me know if I'm wrong. Leave it in the comments of the YouTube video. We're active on all that shit. So you'll find us for sure.
Yup.
Okay, Tim. I think we have finally reached shit. That's just me. Shit? That's just me being we've reached shit. No. We've reached the point where we're going to try to get into some fishing. And for the first time since we started this, I'm a little bit worried about time.
All right.
And I'll say this before we start. Yeah. I wanted to say this before we start. I wanted to put a preface on this. I usually put this in housekeeping, but I want this to be on both feeds. I want it to be in the full podcast feed. I want it to be in the YouTube split and everything like that. We typically try to do an hour on fishing and then do a little shorter on the random take, 30, 45 minutes or something like that. This has been a topic that has been on our dock for a long time.
Okay.
Saugers.
Yep.
And walleye.
Yep.
What's the difference? Sauger versus walleye. What's going on here? We kind of already did one with, we did steelhead and we did, oh shit, I'm blanking now. I should have had this written down, but we did. Yeah.
Yes. The steelhead versus oh gosh, now I'm like,
well, there's a salmon and there's a trout.
Was it rainbow trout? Yeah. No, that's right. That's right. That's what it was. Yeah. Mm-hmm. The salmon versus the trout. Sorry.
Yeah. Thank you. Nope, you're right though, because it's steelhead trout and or steelhead salmon and trout and rainbow trout. Yeah. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah. I'm blowing it right now in the live moment. But so we might not get to an hour. I think we will. But the reason why I wanted to put that out before this is because I truly was like, what the fuck is going on with these fish? You got sauger and you have walleye.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing photos of them and I couldn't tell the difference. And so I just wrote it down and I was just like, we need to fucking go over this.
Right. I'm down for going over it too, because the only difference I know is the looks. But it's like, are they the same fish otherwise?
Right.
They do have different regulations on some lakes. So that's why I'm like, what is going on here? And I've always wondered, but I never really fish any lakes with saugers. So I never really need to learn about them. So I never really have.
Perfect. Because
sauger.
No, go ahead.
Sauger are just as mysterious to me as zander. And zander are walleyes from like Russia.
What?
Yeah.
Well, now I got to write that motherfucker down. A zander.
Yeah, it's like the exact same shit, but it's from over in Europe.
Really?
I don't know if it's just like Europe and like Asia and stuff around there. I don't even know if they're in Asia. Europe's real close to Asia, so I don't know.
Right. Well, and Russia is Asia and Europe. So if they're truly, because Oh, keep going. I'm interrupting.
Yeah. So no, just Xanders are like, I mean, they look a little bit different. Their heads are shaped a little bit different. But as far as like walleye go, a Xander looks more like a walleye than a Sauger does because they have the
Oh,
white on the tail still.
and that's one of the key features, which we'll jump into here more. But before we do that, the regulation part of it that you talked about is where we'll kick off, because I really I look through just the Minnesota regs, right? Because that's what we do here is we we look at our regs, and then we say we encourage you as the listeners, go check your regs,
Yeah,
because
check out where
Tim,
you're from.
yeah, yes, exactly, because I can't check all 50 states and make a podcast out of it.
Right.
We'd be here just be naming Sauger in this lake in Alabama are no.
Yeah, we'd sound like some sort of like a weather service advisor, like just
That
be
robot
like,
voice that comes through
yeah,
on the weather sometimes
yeah.
just
For
reads what somebody
Mississippi,
typed into the computer.
5 yeah, for Mississippi, 5 fish are allowed from this like
Yeah, with the inflections all over
yeah,
the
it's just like
place.
not quite right. Putting the
Yeah,
wrong
dude.
emphasis on the wrong syllable.
Right. Exactly. And so, okay. let's so I looked at the regs, and um there wasn't a ton in there about Sauger and Walleye being different in the Minnesota
Okay.
regulations, but the one thing that stood out to me was, holy shit, dude. The walleye, the window where you can't fish for walleye is way smaller than I thought it was.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
it's like a month. It's like 30 days.
Yeah, it's not that big because it's
But
like
walleye opener in Minnesota is like, it's like fucking the 4th of July in May. It's like a celebration. In Minnesota, walleye opener is like
yeah.
the biggest day. It's like the state fair for fishermen. Like, I don't,
Yeah, dude. There's a
I
lot
was
of
under the
these.
impression everybody was just deprived of it. But like, no, it just means that the ice is melted. Like,
Yeah, pretty
solid
much.
water season is over.
Yeah. You just haven't been able to target them for like a month and a half.
A month, a fucking month.
Well, because it's from the end of March till the middle of May, right?
Yeah,
So
it
it's
was
like a
something
month
like
and a
that.
half.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's like 6
It's
weeks.
like the beginning of April until the end of May. Yeah, I mean, it's like
Yeah.
30 days between March and May. It's like April.
Mm.
It's kind of like the easiest way to do it.
Yeah.
I think it fluctuates a little bit.
Yeah.
Um,
I
but
would say I would say 6 weeks is probably the closest
there you go.
estimate. But yeah, just 6 weeks of no walleye.
Yeah.
And I think what it is that like you were saying, the ice is out, people have their boats, people want to go fishing.
Right.
And it's literally that new season is here.
Right.
But it's still like the new season is here. But hey, hold up. Hold your damn horses here. You're not gonna fish for it. Because the walleye opener is not just walleye opener. It's when you can officially target bass, and it's when you can fish for walleye and northern. So it's a
Right.
big day for people, like where you can
So it's,
keep both of those fish. So it's
and
like
we use
everything
walleye
is.
because it's such a big deal here. Like, because
Yeah.
walleye in Minnesota is like a big fucking deal, which we've talked about in episode
Oh
4.
hell
We
yeah.
did the walleye
Well, it's
all the way
hands
back to
down.
episode 4.
Yeah, it's hands down the best eating fish. Anybody
yeah.
that tells you
I agree with
otherwise
that.
is crazy. If they're like, "Oh, this is better," it's like it's not. They're the other fish are good. Like no doubt, there's good fish out there. Like they all
Sure.
taste good, but there's no beating a walleye.
Right.
It's the
Yeah.
best fish out there. That's
Yeah.
why, like, when you go to like a regular ass restaurant in Minnesota, and they have like pan seared walleye on the menu for like $20,
Right.
and nothing else is like that's the only thing that you see.
Right.
There's a reason for that.
Right. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's
Because fuck good fish. Yeah.
I hate it when some people are just like crappies are just as good, and I maybe like they're not. They're good.
They're good. They're quite
they are
delicious,
not as
but they're
good.
not the same. Right.
No,
Yeah, for sure.
they're.
So I
But
get it.
yes, anyways,
I get it.
yes, I know for sure. It makes total sense, but everybody is just chomping at the bit, dude. That springtime
Right.
rolls around, the weather starts to get warmer, and something about that, dude.
Yeah. It just
Like
gets us
even
fired up here at
I'm
the
a
north.
delivery
Like it just we have
driver.
this
Yeah,
northern fire about it. Yeah.
I'm a delivery driver, and the last week has hit like 30, and I've been able to just like do more like in my day. Like it's like sunny and like it's like 30,
Yeah.
and I'm just
Roads are
like
clear.
half-ass jogging up to people's houses, like throwing the box through their window.
Paperboy style.
Yeah, and then I just go, "Have a great day, motherfucker." Just feeling good, you know?
Yeah. No, I get it. I get it. There was just this. I put this thing on it, and it is what it is. I just had to bring it up. And
Yeah,
okay.
no, I know it is very weird though too. I had the same realization back in the because I didn't like really ever ice fish.
Right.
So it's
Okay.
like
I gotcha.
when you do go ice fishing, you do see and you're just like, you know, I thought it was a certain point where they stop you. And there
Yep.
is, but it's like, really? Like I can fish for walleye until they tell you to take off the ice houses because the ice isn't safe anymore.
Right. Yeah.
I'm like, oh damn, okay,
Oh,
that's
kick
neat.
ass.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. And like I know that we didn't bring that up in the walleye episode. Like I'm so
yeah,
confident that didn't come up because I was very focused on like the species and just like explaining the walleye and its importance and stuff like that. So when this hit me, I was like, damn. So if I didn't go back and listen to episode 4 because that was a different time, man. Fucking 1 hour
yeah.
episodes. Um anyways, okay, let's jump back in. Let's jump back in here. Okay, so the topic we're trying to get to here is Sauger and Walleye, and we're gonna
Yes.
obviously talk a lot about Walleye because of well, what we just explained, what we just went through, all that explanation of like
Right.
how important the Walleye is to Minnesota state fish. Okay,
Yep.
I found almost no distinction, but you said you did. You said you know of some, and there are definitely regulations. There are differences, but it's not that common in the Minnesota regs. What do you know about the differences? Like, do you know anything?
Oh,
You just know that there
it's
are some differences.
yeah. I've just seen some where, like, on certain like rivers and certain areas, like
Yeah.
that just that one lake
Right.
has like specific regulations, and I've just always found that interesting
Yeah.
because for
Right.
whatever reason, it's like one of those things where there is that little bit of downtime between ice season
Mm-hmm.
and like spring fishing, and
Mm-hmm.
then like the new reg books come out,
You're right.
and
Yeah.
I always
Yeah.
just
Because end
like,
of February is technically like just for anybody outside of
yeah,
Minnesota, and just end of February, bam, like
yep,
March, we
yep.
get new regs.
And it's like one of those things where like you're sitting at the cabin, you have like 2 TV channels, and you're just like, new reg book. Just like
Right.
flip it open. You're just kind of like, all right, what's going on? Anything changed for our lake? No. Anything changed for the surrounding lakes? And just kind of like scrolling through, you know, looking
Yeah.
at other stuff, just kind of like
Taking it
skimming
all in.
over everything. And then
Yeah.
I've just noticed where it like specifically like calls out, like,
You will call out.
you know, not this many sauger, but
Right.
like the walleye is like the normal regulation. So it's like,
Right.
I don't know if they want like a bigger amount of sauger in the lake and they're having a rough time or what it is, but I've
Yeah.
seen it's like you said, not real common, but I have seen it before, and that like threw me for a loop.
Yeah.
Where I'm
For
like,
sure.
whoa, really? Where
Right.
you're
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Yeah.
specifically like sauger, like don't keep this many sauger, but walleye are
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
And it's like
Yeah. And
this just threw me off because
as I felt it should, because even in
yeah,
the research on this, I felt that way, where it was just like, oh shit, okay. Because yes, it is like you can keep this many walleye and sauger, but only a walleye over this size. And it's like, oh. They didn't say
Yeah.
Sauger. So, oh shit. That means it's
Right.
different, right?
Yeah. And
So,
dude, and from like as far as like the fish go too, like it's kind of like what we talked about with other stuff, where
mhm.
like you just have these preconceived notions of like things that you've been told wrong as you were as a child.
Yeah, we've
Like
talked
where
about
like
that a
yeah,
lot on
yeah,
here on the
where like you
podcast for
catch a
sure.
fish and you're just like, "What is that?" And they're just like, "I think it's like a walleye, maybe it's a sauger." And you're like, "What's the difference?" They're like, "It's the same fish."
Right.
You're like, "Well, why does it have? What do you mean?"
But well, why do you have two
There are
names
2
for it,
names, and
right?
they're like, "It doesn't matter. It's the same fish. It's okay." But like, they're not the same fish, but they're the same fish. And you're like, I'm so confused. It doesn't matter. I don't
Right,
catch these
right, right.
things. You know, like
Right.
when you're younger and you're just bobber fishing, you don't catch much of that shit anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, no, you make a really good point there with yeah, you and the funny thing is like to say that like they're the same fish is like, yeah, they kind of are. They
Hmm.
kind of are because
They're very, very similar.
they're super similar. Like I said, before I did the research on this, I was like, I saw him and I just went, nice wall. How come you call it a sauger? You know, it's like because I totally
Yeah.
pegged that as a walleye. So um let let's just kind of jump into the fact that they belong to the same family. Like they're the same them, perch, walleye, perch, sauger. They're all in the same family. So they are the same kind of fish. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The Perseidae. Is that how you say that? Perseidae? PR
Mm.
PRCIDAE. The AE is fucking me up right now. Perseidae, Perseida. They're the same family. So they are that similar that they're in the same category as each other. Also, in Minnesota, this was something that blew me away. Just keeping on the regs thing. Definitely go check out your regs before you start doing this because transportation. And Tim, we're going to talk about transporting fish here in a minute. But
Yeah.
if you're transporting fish, so if you have just the fillets, there are certain regulations around that a little bit. Check your local listings. But here's what I'm trying to get to. They're just if the DNR officer is sharp-eyed enough to realize that's a sauger fillet, they just count it. They're just supposed to count it as a walleye fillet. From what I found in the regulations, is if you're just transporting fillets, that just says that saugers count as walleye. And I was like, interesting. But I think that
Yeah.
it comes down to, and we'll get into it in a way, it's super hard to tell just by the fillet. Because
Oh,
depending
yeah.
even on where you catch your walleye, right, you're going to get different color.
Right.
And so the same applies to the sauger, is you're going to get different color. There are distinct patterns in their fillets, like a well-trained conservation officer would be able to tell the difference. But like, I guess if you're just transporting fillets, they're like, it's a walleye.
Yeah. Like, don't worry about it.
Yeah. Because I know this from bird hunting, that is like, so do you know about transporting fish much? Because I know you don't have to transport fish, so I don't know. I'm just curious about
No.
how much you know, because I know a decent amount about birds, and I'll get into it after this.
Yeah. I mean, they like to have like a fillet in there where you keep some of the skin on for identification purposes, just like you were saying.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But
Yep.
as far as that goes, like that's about my extent of the knowledge. Like
Like
they
it's just a
want you.
little,
Yeah.
chunk of skin,
Yeah, it's like
enough to just leave. I don't know, like let's say you got a fillet and you left a little quarter size piece of
yeah.
skin on it. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's all I know is like they want you to be able to like allow them to identify it.
Right. Right.
And you don't need to leave the full skin on because they know people don't want to do that. Like,
Right. Mm-hmm.
don't make me do all this extra work just because you want to be able to tell what it is, you know? Like, I want to get it done the first time.
Yeah. Which is totally different for waterfowl. Like that's where I'm somewhat familiar with. Like you have to keep the wing on because the wing's like the easiest way to identify it, or
Okay.
something like that. Like you have to have a decent chunk of the bird
Yeah.
When transporting them, actually. And so fishing's not like that. And that's why I wanted to bring it up, is because I really couldn't find it. I didn't do research on that part. I just wanted to see, what you saw. And of course, check your local regs, because it's probably different all over the country.
Yeah. I mean, it's based off of that regulation. You obviously can't be hauling more than what your limit, what you're allowed to have. And then, because make sure that you identify that. I do.
There's a limit. There's a catch limit, and then there's a
possession limit.
Thank you.
Yes. And the possession limit is a little bit different, because they understand that, like, oh, you were in your rights by catching this with 4 people, and not everybody took it all the time. Or sometimes you caught your limit a number of times, and now you're, bringing it for a fish fry, or you're bringing it for your buddy.
Right.
You and your buddy caught all this fish. They didn't have a cooler. You have all this shit in your cooler. You're going to give it to them when you get back to where you're traveling or whatever,
Yeah.
So
there's a difference.
Yeah. There is a difference. So
yeah, I thought it'd be a good one to bring up, just because in the regs, I saw that difference of, like, if it's Sauger, they're just going to count it as walleye, like I saw that kind of difference. And so, yeah, you've already said, well, you didn't say that necessarily, but you were like, okay, yeah, what is the difference?
Yeah, for real.
Can you tell the difference? Like, are you already trained without having this conversation we're going to keep having?
It is very simple. The walleye has, without a doubt, every time a white dot on the bottom of their tail.
On the bottom of the tail. Yeah, dude.
The bottom of the back tail has a white dot. That's the walleye. The Sauger doesn't have it.
Yep.
That's all you need to know. I don't know the rest about it.
There's definitely more.
Yeah.
That is, when we'll get into some similarities, but, like, yeah, let's get into the differences.
Yeah.
The Sauger tends to be a little bit darker from what I saw. Now,
sure.
I already kicked it off with, like, there's even different color walleye, right? Depending on the environment, they'll be darker brown gold on the top half. Right. But they're always white bellied.
Yes.
And same with Sauger. Yep. They're always white bellied too. Now their white doesn't seem to go up to the mouth like a walleye does. Like, a walleye seems to have that, like, right at the half line. Right? Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Like, there's like a half body line cutting right through a walleye.
Yeah, like, definitely, like, I would say, like, more picturesque. I was going to say attractive, but, like, that's weird. But, like, a walleye is definitely more picturesque. Like, a Sauger is not as clean of a looking fish.
Yeah, yeah. Because they tend to be darker on the top with these darker blotches. So it's like, and these blotches seem random, right? Like a walleye's a clean cut line, almost a clean cut line, or at least a clean gradient into the white belly,
right?
And no spots or anything like that. But these Saugers, they have these splotches on them. They have these darker splotches, like darker than their base color. Splotches on them.
Yep.
I don't know how to explain them other than a splotch.
No, you're saying they're pretty good. It's just kind of weird looking. Yeah. Like a Sauger looks like a walleye that has something wrong with it.
Kind of, because the other
a little bit.
The other, like, really definitive characteristic is that dorsal fin. So if you pull up the dorsal fin on a walleye, it's one solid color, just like, blending in with the body. But if you pull it up on Sauger, it should have these nice clean little black dots in it, just kind of spotted all over that dorsal fin, that top center dorsal fin. Because to go to the similarities a little bit, they have 2 dorsal fins. They have the one kind of in the middle of the back, and then they have the one behind the middle of the back between the fin. You know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
I didn't get the exact name of that one, but you have that kind of middle back dorsal fin, then you have another dorsal fin, and then you have the tail. And that middle back dorsal fin on the Sauger, it's got like little dots on it. little black dots on it. And so like
Yeah.
you see that little black dotted dorsal fin, you see no white spot on the tail because that, like Tim said, every time's on the walleye. It's like, yeah, you got yourself a Sauger. And the Saugers tend to be smaller too. But then how do you know the difference between a big Sauger and a like medium-sized walleye?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So it really comes down to these identifying features we're just talking about.
Yeah, I was looking at some photos here, and some of them are clean looking.
Yeah.
And then others are ugly as hell. And you don't really get that with a walleye. Like the walleyes are super consistent looking.
Yeah.
That's what's weird about a Sauger. Now, did you
for sure.
Did you, when you were looking into it, does it say what a Sauger is? Is it like a half breed between a walleye and something else?
Oh, no. So a walleye and a Sauger do make hybrids, but they are two different fish by themselves. So there is the Sauger, and it, you know, they have the very similar, the V-shaped tail. They're very like streamlined fish. You know, they're not wide like a bass or anything like that. They're pretty streamlined. They have the white belly on them. Their mouths even look fairly similar when you get down to it. They're the same family, but when it comes down to the Sauger and the walleye, they are separate. They are.
Okay.
But they make hybrids because they do live in similar areas.
Because they're so close. It's like a pike and a muskie.
Yeah.
Like they're different fish. They look close, but they do make hybrids because they're close enough.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
That's crazy. Okay.
Yeah.
What did you...
And so as far as regs are concerned, hybrids are the same. Like they're between the two. Like you can't do anything about it, right? You just gotta say it's a hybrid.
Yeah. Did you also see like the size differences as far as like world record goes?
No, so I didn't see any records.
So
if you have it.
That's one thing I've always known too, though.
Oh,
that Saugers don't get as big.
Yeah.
And just out of curiosity, I Googled world record.
Mm-hmm.
World record Sauger is 12 pounds, 13 ounces.
Okay.
The world record walleye is 25.
Holy shit.
So they get almost double the size of a Sauger.
Yeah.
And then out of curiosity too, I Googled world record Xander because I thought Xander might even be bigger. But they're like right there with walleye. It's like a 24 something pound. Yeah. But when you look at a Xander, it's pretty clear that they're not quite the same fish.
Okay.
They look a little bit off.
Yeah.
It's just
something, just like a something little different about them.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
It's like Russians. You're like, yeah, something.
I don't know. There's just something a little off.
He's like me, but he's not like me.
We can say that right now. It's accepted by the
world.
It
doesn't matter anyways. We're from America. We're all from probably Russia. I think I'm mostly German.
Right. But I know exactly what you're saying. Yep. It's so funny. Okay. So let's continue the hybrid conversation because there are hybrids and they're recognized as a, you know, they're a fish. It's like a pug and a chihuahua. You put them together, you recognize it. That's a real dog. They're called Saugeyes. And I was like,
Saugeyes.
Yeah,
nice.
Of course you would call it a Sauger.
Yeah, you got yourself a Sauger there. What do those look like
for our area? A Sauger. So they look super close to both, apparently. But so what I read was they tend to favor the Sauger in looks, except those dots that I talked about on the dorsal fin, like on the dead center top dorsal fin, right? They tend to be not as round. And that's why when I described the dots on the markings on the dorsal fin of the Sauger as dots, I did that on purpose, because when I knew we were going to get to the hybrids, to say like Saugers have dots, but a Saugai, they tend to be a little more smeared, misshaped a little bit, there's something to that dot again, like you were just saying, is a little off. There's just something a little off.
I'm looking at them.
And what do you got? What are you thinking?
I mean, I think you're nailing it, dude. It's like this. It's not perfect little dots. It's kind of like smeared. Like some like the Sauger is like somebody took the paintbrush, and you like fold it back and you kind of like flick the dots at it.
Yeah.
And this is almost like somebody spilled water on your watercolor. It's just kind of like there.
It kind of bled out from
it just kind of bled out a little bit. And at first you're like, "Do you spilled water all over?" No, it's all right. I think
that's okay. It turned out.
It turned out okay. I was going for something there, but I don't think you ruined it. It wasn't what I was trying for, but I think we're all right. Sorry for blowing up.
This is going to turn out.
I'm sorry I lost my cool.
They do. So the cool thing about them, the cool thing that I found out about the hybrids, is that they tend to be bigger. So they tend to take on the size of the walleye and the looks of the Sauger, and so it's kind of like best of both worlds. I mean, not that I think the Sauger looks, and not that I'm favoring the look of one over the other, really.
Yeah, which is interesting because a tiger muskie is a mix between a pike and a muskie.
Okay.
And the tiger muskie record is far smaller than the world record pike or muskie.
Really?
Yeah, when those two breed together, it doesn't get as big as either of them. It can still be a big fish, weird. But the world record in both of those shatters the tiger muskie record.
Weird.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that is so strange.
Yeah, I don't know. Just run to the litter.
I guess so. Yeah, because again, the Saugai tends to be bigger, so it's just like, it's just weird how those like a liger, fucking gigantic.
Right. They are gigantic.
God damn, that thing's huge.
What are they bred for? The Napoleon Dynamite thing? They're bred for their speed and magic, or whatever he says.
Right, exactly. And they're even magic.
Yeah. And these fish are not that. They just ended up being in the right place, right time.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's totally what it comes down to, because they tend to what? You made yourself laugh, didn't you?
Yeah. So, okay. Little bit of backstory on this random ass thought that I had. So if you guys aren't familiar with like how fish breed, the woman lays the eggs, or like the female lays the eggs, and then the male like has the bed in most species.
Yep.
And he she lays them and then he ejaculates on them.
Yeah.
And then that's how he makes it. I was just picturing it as like almost like a swoop in.
Totally.
Like a Sauger's like the ugly one.
Yep.
And then like and the big old good looking walleye like laid some eggs, and he's just like over there laughing with his buddies. Dude, she dropped some eggs. I totally just swam in there and like, wow. I'm gonna have some Sauger babies, buddy.
You'll see. The boy's gonna be huge.
She thought she was laying in for that smooth looking Mickey over there, and I just swiped in it. It's a bop. And best part, he's raising my babies. You don't know, I swooped in.
When I read up how it happens, that's kind of what it sounded like, dude. It's because they're like, well, they just let their sperm out all over the place. And I'm like,
dude.
yeah, I mean, that's how fish do it. But like, when you put it in context like that, you just see him swimming in.
Oh yeah, I was just picturing like there's a dude there like has the spawning bed and he's just waiting for like the female to come and drop the eggs, and then there's just the Sauger just comes in, just kind of like that ugly punk. So, yeah.
Right.
Yo, I swooped in on your bitch.
On your bitch.
All right, peace.
Oh shit.
Oh man.
Okay.
Yep.
So anyways, hybrids, they're a real thing. The one thing that I don't have written down here and I wanted to bring up to you was, you said you've never really fished anything with Sauger in it.
No.
And I'm just like, everything I just looked up without turning this into just the Sauger podcast, is like, I know that you fish walleyes. I know that you know where to fish for walleyes and how to fish for walleyes and stuff like that. Like, but then how do you know that there's no Sauger? Or like,
I think that there are. I don't know for sure that there aren't. I've just never caught one.
Okay. Yeah.
So like the lakes and rivers that I frequent.
Oh,
like
wait, hold on.
that
Sorry. I'm sorry to cut you off. You want to know something about the hybrid that I forgot to say?
Uh-huh.
Here it is. The dots. Oh, no. Damn it. But the dot will be on the bottom of the tail still. That's literally reading from my notes.
Oh, okay. So they do look, but it's like, I looked at the pictures. Like they have the weird markings that you were talking about.
That's the thing, like, right?
Blotchy.
Yes. Is they still look like a Sauger, but they get the walleye dot that you pointed out before. You pointed out and you were just like, that fucking walleye dot.
That's crazy.
They're going to get all the other markings of a Sauger. They're going to be bigger. And then that's how you know that you got yourself a hybrid. And in Minnesota, it's not really going to make a difference, probably. You just
I would have laughed so hard if you would have just like did all that for like a callback. No, the other thing I got in my notes is that actually the Sauger are formed because Saugers are snipers, bro. They just swim in. They do.
Shit.
They just pick them off.
That's the disadvantage of being the producer side. I don't have time to be quick-witted like that. I'm just trying to just feed the other shit in. Especially in the middle of your story. So anyways, let's get back to the story. So yeah, you said, like, I basically set you up and said that walleye are, like, you know how to fish walleye, and then you said you never fish anywhere where Sauger are, but then you said, like, well, I've just never caught Sauger.
Well, it's also like a lot of the lakes that I do frequent, like, just don't even have like Sauger listed.
Oh, they're right, not, because you always look at that, like, with the species that are documented, like, by the DNR, right?
Yeah, correct. And a lot of these places, like, this stuff, like, I don't know if walleye was always a thing that was in there, but they definitely stock them now. So it may have been a point where like the Sauger have just kind of been like bred out of the lake, or like just, stocked out of the lake, and they're just not prevalent in the lakes that I do fish.
Right.
And then I know the rivers that I fish do have them, but I've never caught one. So it's, just kind of a weird. Now I'm thinking, maybe? Do we ever look at that marking that I caught?
What?
On the Sauk River? That had the white dot on the tail, but was that body blotchy?
What?
Maybe I did catch a Sauger that one time. I don't know.
Or maybe you caught a Sauger.
But that's what I'm saying. Yes, a Sauger, because I think it had the white dot on the tail.
Right, yeah. So when you said it and you were like, but was it blotchy? I was like, oh, hold on. Maybe you did. Okay. I'm going to buy you some time here. Don't worry. So, okay. The other thing, now that you said all of that, and you said, the rivers, yeah, because they live in similar areas. Again, I don't want to turn this into just a Sauger podcast topic, but they do tend to be in the like sort of more murky, colder waters, which is just to say they live adjacent to walleye. Like they live on the other side of the tracks, so the walleye. God damn it. I'm trying not to make it just shit talking the Sauger but it's just like it's the nature of Minnesotans and our like attachment to the walleye as like something that identifies Minnesota. So I think it is that. But okay, let me just say the like darker waters, right? Because they're darker in color, so it makes sense. It's just the camouflage thing that we've talked about that we already like made the contrast of like these are going to change in color. Like you can get different color walleye. Like we tend to have pretty golden walleye in the majority of like I'll just say the metro area lakes around the Twin Cities. They tend to be kind of gold in color. And then you get out to some, more western waters where it tends to be like a lot of feed out of the mountains and stuff like that. And they're almost white from top to bottom. And it's just because of the nature of the water and their environment. So the same thing goes with the Sauger. They have those splotches built into them. It's just camouflage. So they just live better in a little bit more cloudy water. And both fish are adapted for the cold. So the cloudy water tends to be colder, doesn't get as much sun penetration. Like there's just sort of these things that is just like nature's just doing its thing. And I guess that just takes me to, that's just my spin off of you saying, well, I've been in these rivers. I'm curious now. Do you think you caught a saw guy?
I don't know. I can't find the picture.
Ah, shit. Well, if you find it, you post it on Instagram.
Yeah. Slack
because
is,
like if you take some time after the podcast and like look it up and find out, because shit, dude, now I'm super curious. Because they are so similar. They just are. I mean, there's nothing else to it.
Yeah, for sure. We'll have to like, this is a random thing too, where, not trying to be too like reveal everything behind the show, but now that I'm looking at it, I should tell you real quick.
Yeah,
we should look into the Slack, because
I know. I already yep.
I'm
Don't worry
on stuff and it's
I'm
like,
on that.
Your workspace has more than whatever, so you can't see old messages. And I'm like, well, I'm looking for old messages.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay.
I know.
All right.
That's okay.
I don't know where that photo is otherwise.
Oh, okay.
I think I posted on the stories because that was like, what did we post it? It was on Instagram for something.
Oh, so you posted it on Instagram?
But I posted it on like a story. You made.
Oh, I got you. Yeah.
Yeah, you put like a background on there. I can't remember what it was for.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like on a story, and I don't think I ever actually posted it to Instagram. I looked at Instagram first.
Right. Okay.
But then I looked at Slack because I knew it was in Slack, and I couldn't find it. So I don't know. I know that picture exists, but I don't know where to find it right now.
That's okay. I'm going to work on recovering that stuff that is in Slack, and then we'll work on that. Then
we'll get back to everyone.
Then we'll get back.
Stay tuned.
That's right.
Maybe I have caught a saw guy. Maybe I can check a species off my bucket list.
Would it? I mean, now that we've gone through all this conversation, if you were to catch a saw guy, you'd know for sure, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And
well, I don't even think I would like second guess it in most of the places I fish.
Right.
But now I'm thinking about it because I caught it on the Sauk River, which I don't fish for a lot. Or
you don't
fish for. I don't fish that very often.
Right.
And that day I was just like, we were out there trying to catch whatever. And I was like, here's the spot. This is where the fish should be if there's a fish.
Okay.
And I just remember like hooking into something, looking over at you, just being like, I'm on something, dude. It's pretty good. And then it was like a 20, I can't remember, like 22, 24 inch.
It was big.
Walleye, possibly Sauger. Who knows? Not me.
Yeah. So you're talking about that one that we smoked and stuff like that, right?
Yep. The one that
yeah,
we smoked,
okay.
that we
I'll
caught
find
on
that
the
photo.
river.
I'll find that photo.
The one where I got caught in limbo.
Yeah, that's a really good point. It could have been. It was hybrid territory. Well, for sure.
It was hybrid territory, and I should say real quick, because I said got caught in limbo. I say, oops, shit, fucking punching my mic thing. I say caught in limbo because I was stepping down off of a ledge. Random side story. And I had like a lure that was in the side pocket, and my leg got hooked by the lure, and the lure was inside of the pocket. And I was like stepping down, and I had the bag like on my shoulder.
On your shoulder.
So I'm like supporting the bag on my shoulder, and my leg is hooked. And I'm halfway stepped down. So I'm in this like just state of limbo.
Yeah,
I can't go
you
up,
were like
a
puppet being controlled by your own shoulder. It was fucked, dude. I still have that image in my head. It was so bad.
And Josh is just like, what do I do?
I didn't.
And
I'm
just like calmly sitting there trying to figure it out too. And I go, I don't know either. Just just wait for a second, I guess. Like we'll just
right. Everybody pause right now.
We'll just think about this for a while.
It was fucked, dude.
Like there's no way this goes. There's no way this goes super well.
No.
But luckily it was a good enough spot where there wasn't a lot of nerve endings. And I just kind of like pushed the hook down so I could like clear the barb, and eventually got it. But for a while there, I was like, I don't know what to do, dude. This bag is heavy. I can't let it down. I can't lift it up.
Right. It's because if you let it down, then all the weight of the bag would have been on the hook.
Yeah, and if you lift it up, the same thing.
It's just your leg getting lifted up while you're in the middle of the step down. Like, what the fuck, man?
And I know it doesn't sound like it makes much sense, but it's like I couldn't step either way either. It was like the step down is what caused the hook, and somewhere in there, I'm like just stuck where I'm at. It was literally just in limbo. Like
it was bad. I'm having. Oh, God, I'm getting the fucking shivers thinking about it. It was okay. It was a bad situation.
We popped the hook out and caught a Sauger, maybe.
And maybe caught a Sauger. Yeah, I'll look for that photo. I'm certain that I have that photo somewhere. I think I used it on our walleye episode in episode 4. I think I used it in the thumbnail of episode 4, which would make this very funny.
That makes sense. Yes.
If you are listening to this on the podcast feed, go over to YouTube, look at episode 4 thumbnail, zoom in, tell us if that's a Sauger.
That makes sense to where that. I bet you were right. I bet that was the thumbnail. Because the thumbnails I was always only putting in the stories. I never posted those as.
Oh yeah, so that would make a lot of sense of why.
Yeah.
Yep.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
There you go.
I'll be able to find it then. Okay. Well, Tim, I admitted it at the beginning. I didn't know if we were going to make an hour on this, and we just spent 10 minutes talking about our possible adventures, or our adventures of possibly catching a Sauger. But we don't know. We will confirm and then look it up later. But I don't really have anything else when it comes to the Sauger versus walleye, other than the fact it made me really interested in the idea of catching a Sauger. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude, for sure. I would like to catch all of like a Sauger. I'd like to catch them all.
Yeah.
I want to fish. I mean, a more mobile boat. I'm not going to sit here and gripe about everything, but if I had the capabilities, I would be out there trying to catch everything I could in this state for sure.
For sure. Yeah. I got you.
All the different panfishes and everything. I'd like to catch all of it. So I'd be out there hunting everything. This weekend we're trying for this. This weekend we're trying for that. I'd like to check them all off the list for sure. At least for this state.
Right. Yeah.
I would love to do the whole country. And then if we finish the country, then we move on to other ones. I think it'd be dope to catch everything. Like I just love But that's one of my biggest. We talked about it with like sports cards and everything else. Like one of my biggest thing is like the thrill of catching a fish. It's the
Right.
thrill. It's the same thing I get with cars.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be an outstanding car, a super car, like nice car. If it's rare, it's
Right.
exciting to me.
Right. Yeah. Which is why I said the Sauger thing too.
Dude,
is like catching a Sauger.
I gotta say that they have tried to play on this same stupid concept in the weird collectibles that are out there now. And the other day, I'm delivering to a gas station, and I do some pickups sometimes, and I'm waiting for this lady to go grab the stuff from the back and bring it out. And as I'm sitting there, I'm looking at what's on the shelf, and they're like, get the ultra rare, like in action collectibles. And I'm like, what is that?
What?
Because I couldn't tell from a distance. Dude, what it is from the commercial, from the Pringles commercial, when they say once you pop, can't stop, and they pop the top, and all the chips come flying out in the commercial.
Okay.
Mid chips flying out. It's a little plastic thing, mini deal. Costs like $4.99 to get this thing, and if you open it, the ultra rare, you could get like a sour cream and onion Pringles where the chips are flying out of the fucking thing, and that's your super rare brand. It literally is called like brands.
What?
But you open
Wait,
it up.
so your chips land on the floor and you can't fucking eat them anyway?
No, they don't fall. Like it's a sculpture. It's like a miniature sculpture of a Pringles can that has Pringles flying out of it. And that's the super rare one. That's the ultra rare. That's the one like, holy shit, I can't believe I got the Pringles. Like, I mean, there's so many different ways that you could go with this. Like, if you were a stand-up comic, like our country is so goddamn fat. I'm fat too, so like but our country is so goddamn fat that our collectibles are fast, like commercials from fast food. Like, I can't believe I got the sour cream and onion in action Pringles. Like it's from the commercial. Like the chips are flying out. Oh my god. Like, what the hell are we doing? I don't get who is buying this shit. I even turned to her. I go, people really buy this stuff? And she goes, somebody bought one this morning. I said, no.
Damn it. That's actually a really good transition, because in our topic, I have a confession. Our random take, I have a confession. I've been reading. And I have a collection story in that. And
all right,
it's on the same level, but it's in my tech nerdy bubble.
Okay.
And anybody who knows anything about what's going on in like technology collectibles and shit like that can probably already understand where this is going, and you probably already do too, Tim. But
maybe.
Yeah, I get you, because that's also why I said catching a Sauger would be cool. Like, I mean, if we just caught one, I'm gonna just consider your catch my catch, and I'm gonna say, oh, that was fucking I caught a Sauger with Tim.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's like getting the shiny Pokemon.
Oh yeah, dude.
Right?
Yeah,
getting a Sauger, like, it'd be cool, but you can't go hunt for a Sauger. Right. You have to go out and fish walleye and hope.
Yeah.
That's what you catch.
That's such a good point. That's exactly what it's like. Because you could catch a shit fish. If it's the first one you've ever caught, it's still cool.
Right.
You know, it's like Pokemon. You
Yeah.
could catch an absolute dog shit Pokemon that you don't care about at all. But when it's shiny, it still makes you go, oh, look at that. Look at that shit. You know, like.
yeah, for sure.
Normally, you don't give a shit about that Pokemon, but this one's slightly different color.
Right. Like if you caught like a 10-inch Sauger, you'd be like, fuck yeah, dude.
Oh yeah.
If you caught a 10-inch walleye, you'd be like,
it's almost
put it back in the water.
Yeah, it's almost exactly a shiny, because you're like holding it up for people, and you're just like, it's small, and you're like, but it's a different color.
But look at it.
It's not the same. Isn't it crazy? Then my wife would just be like, it's ugly. I know. It's super fucking ugly. I know.
I know. Cool, right?
It's sweet. Isn't it neat? Neat.
All right, dude. I mean, oh, well, we had a shorter fishing topic, it'll happen. That's going to happen. Let's go ahead and get into the random take here, where we are going to talk about my confessions. These are my confessions. My girl on the set, she has one on the way.
My confessions, and I know what I'll do. I think I gotta make part 2 of my confessions.
You gotta cash in on that shit,
right?
And make part 2. Yeah, I've been opening up pages of books lately and reading.
Ooh.
Well, we're gonna get into that in the random take. All right, Tim, hit the break.
Break time.
Here we are, patreon.com/realaftv. That's right, patreon.com/realaftv. Real like fish and reel. We are on Patreon, and we are coming to tell you, and by we, I mean me and Tim, Real AFTV podcast here, coming to you to say we have a Patreon as low as $1 a month, but hey, you could go up to $100 if you really wanted to get crazy with it. It's there. Go over to our website, realaf.tv. You can find the Patreon link right there, or go to Patreon and look us up, Real AFTV, Real Like Fish and Reel. And we have things like, for $50 a month, we will customize, what kind of tackle is it, Tim? We have some in the warehouse right now that we haven't actually ran
a lure. Yes.
Lure, thank you.
Is a crankbait.
Crankbait.
Yes, we will customize a crankbait for you.
At the $50 tier. Also, Patreon, if you're new to the whole Patreon thing, if you're on a podcast, you're probably not that new to it. But Patreon is something that you can jump in and out of. Like if you do $50 this month, bam, you get the custom lure, but you don't want to do that for the whole year. You jump down to the $5 a month tier where you're going to get early access content. You can help vote on the random take, one of the random takes for the month. And, we'll keep up with you on Patreon as well. Like just a direct Patreon contact. There's communication you do only through Patreon. That's what I'm trying to say. So if you're new, there's just a little intro to it.
Yeah. And to clarify that custom painted lure is a fully custom painted lure, like the pattern and everything. That won't be just something that we have a lure that we just like write Real AFTV on.
Yes. Thank you, Tim. Thank you for clearing that up, because yes, it's a slug, for lack of a better word, right now, and it will be turned into something.
Right.
I'm not good at the whole fishing lingo, so maybe Tim, you could evaluate on that a little, or like elaborate on that.
Yeah, I mean, right now it has no color, and I will give it color.
There we go.
It will look like a bait fish imitation of some sort. It might not be exactly colored. It might not be realistic. Some of that stuff out there that the different companies work with makes different stuff, but it will be a custom painted lure, and it won't look like dog shit. Because not to be too full of myself, but I have some talent.
You have some artistic talent. Yes. Yeah, very true. And before we wrap up the ad here for patreon.com/realaftv, we do have a goal too. Goals right now. We only have one goal set, but there is, if we get up to 10 patrons this year or this month even, which would be great. So share with a friend. We will do a live stream AMA while fishing. We are capable of live streaming fishing. We've done it before. Yes. Check out the YouTube channel. And we'll just do an AMA. We'll schedule it. We'll do all the communications through Patreon, and we'll go live with a AMA of undetermined length at this point while fishing. So if you can get us up to 10 patrons, if you know friends and family and stuff like that got a few bucks to kick our way, let them know. realaf.tv. Scroll down a little bit. There's the Patreon link. It'll shoot you right over. Sign up for a little bit.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the Real AFTV podcast, show about fishing random takes. This is the random take. And we are going to get into something that I just didn't foresee when we started the podcast.
Yeah.
My wife reads like crazy, and we
Okay.
talked a lot about physical media on
Yeah.
one episode. I forgot to look up what episode that was, but if you go in the backlog, there is an entire episode where we just talked about physical media in general. And of course, I was like, physical media is dead, but like, we still have, like, we like it. We like having tactile things.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not completely invested in the physical media, but I have been reading, which I fucking have hated my whole life. Like, I basically failed every book. And I didn't fail it, but I got really bad grades on book reports
Oh
my
yeah.
entire life. Yeah,
Yeah.
you too. Like,
Dude.
being
100%.
assigned a reading assignment was like my fucking worst thing in school.
I hated it. Like we had an English class in college where like that's the whole thing was like read a book and then come back and like let's just discuss what you read. And I was just like, I hate this so much. This is so dumb. I hated it.
It
Like
was just
this.
the college equivalent of book club.
Oh,
You
for
got
sure. And
credit
it
for it and
wasn't,
had to pay
and it
for
was
it.
like, what are we doing? Why is this a necessary thing? Why do I have to read a book and then come in and tell you how I think about it? And then like I have to listen to other people's opinions on it. Like, why is this something that costs thousands of dollars? This is so goddamn stupid. I could not
Yeah,
stand that class. I didn't
I
like
was
the
the same way.
teacher. This is a random side note, but like that syllabus was more of a teacher than the teacher was. And she came in like, hey, I normally teach at the University of Minnesota, but I'm doing a favor. Like, oh my God, you're so
Oh,
fucking special. And like,
yeah,
let's talk about how you like what kind of books we should read and stuff. I
right.
can't believe I gotta pay you people for this shit. But just like, I hate it. And now to this day, like, what good did that ever do anybody?
Yeah.
Why? What did that get any of us? You know, like some people say, like, where am I ever going to use this math? Where are you ever going to read a book and then have to report back to people about how you felt about what you read?
Oh, I can tell you where. In your book club, when you go to happy hour on a
Oh,
Thursday,
yeah, I
and that's it.
suppose.
That's it. It's the
Yeah,
only fucking
you're
place.
you're paying us for social skills that you already have. Well, as some
That
people maybe not.
I was
If
gonna
you're
say that some of you have for sure. Yeah,
yeah,
right.
if you're
Me and
soup,
you, yes,
yeah,
we were very much like, "Hey,
not
yeah."
trying to shit on everybody if like you don't have social skills and that helps you out because if you're just into reading books and that's your thing, maybe you're not that good with people.
Yeah,
But
that's not a far
like
stretch to make.
that was not my thing. I didn't need to read a book to come in to be like, "Did you guys hear about this new book?" I could just come in and we could talk about whatever.
Right,
Life. What'd you do this week? What did
right.
I do? Not read a book.
Not
That's
read
what
a fucking book. Yes, and I say that as somebody who is married to a book nerd of like,
Yeah.
yeah, like, she
Yeah.
will she'll back that up, like, yeah,
Yeah. And I'm not
going into
shitting on
books,
books
like,
either.
being a book no, no,
Right.
no, yeah, for sure,
I was gonna
and you're
say I
not
should
shitting on the
preface
people that
like
aren't like,
I
you're not shitting on the people that live in their books either.
right.
You're just pointing out, like, this is an observation,
The
and she would
fact
totally back that up of like,
yeah.
yeah, like,
Yeah. The fact that
sometimes
you're
being
saying
in
I
a book
have
is easier than being in social life, and it
yeah.
does make you socially awkward sometimes. It's
And the
like,
fact that you're saying I have to read a book and tell you how I felt about the book, that's the craziness about it. But reading a book is totally it makes sense to me. Getting lost in the story, being able to imagine it on your
mhm,
own, that's
mhm,
cool. I just prefer like somebody telling the story to me with pictures. But
yeah,
other
which is a
than
movie.
like, but when it comes,
Just to
yeah,
be
yeah.
clear, like, that's just a movie.
And it's the same thing with learning. It's just that
Mhm,
sometimes the best option you have is reading a book, you
mhm,
know?
mhm,
Like when it comes to like, when you're talking about video, when it comes to the, um, I forget exactly what they were called right now, but like the Bass Pro Shops put out the Bassmasters like DVDs, or it was a TV show at one point,
Mm-hmm.
and they would
Mm-hmm.
like explain to them like how they're fishing, and then they had different segments and stuff on there. I
Mm-hmm.
loved watching that stuff because I loved learning.
Mm-hmm.
But when that wasn't always an option, the next best thing you got is the books. And
Sure.
reading about fishing isn't the best, but I still did it because I learned so much from it. So books definitely give you a lot out there. But now
Yeah.
with Audible, like if I can
Mm-hmm.
get an audio tape,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's what
Yeah.
I'm going for. But sometimes that backfires too. And then you got them reading all the weird ass shit in the book, word for word. There's a fishing book that I listened to
Okay.
that was on the fishing, side of things, but there was a narrator talking about it, and he would
Mm-hmm.
just be like, for this, they'd be talking to a pro fisherman, and the fisherman would say like, for this I like to use a Strike King thumper worm, and I
Mm-hmm.
would cast that and reel it over. The thumper worm can be found at www
Oh
dot, and
no.
he'd read the whole thing
Oh no.
slash HTTP, like the whole,
Oh
and it was
no.
just like, are you kidding me? You're really reading the fucking links?
The hyperlink.
Just like,
Because
what
that's what the
is,
script said. Because that's what the book probably said.
yeah. So it
Oh
was that,
no. They
that
just
book.
couldn't.
Oh, there's no
That's
dude.
rough.
And I wonder if I'm sure they had to sit down and they're like, people aren't gonna like this. And then the company that had their hand in it was just like, you read the fucking links,
You read the
dude.
book. We
You
publish the book. You read the fucking book.
you put the links out there so these old dumb fucks that can't use Google can type in exactly what you say every dot and slash, and you get them to the right website. When a pro says that he uses the thumper worm, you get them to the website so they can buy the thumper worm. You understand me? Oh,
Shit.
yeah. So,
Yeah, that sounds like an older one. But so now that you're so we'll get into my shit because I've been reading, but like not for education, really. A little bit.
oh yeah,
Anyways, I mean, you're making a point about education, but I do want to
yeah,
talk about audiobooks now that you brought it up because we're
yeah.
on Audible now. Like the Real AFTV podcast is on Audible if you're on Audible.
Hell yeah.
But do you subscribe or do you buy audiobooks? Because I had a little audiobook
I
phase and I have more about audiobooks too, but
I did the whole like subscribe deal, and Audible gives you credits. And so I
nice.
had
Okay.
credits like, uh I was doing like a monthly subscription, and I had credits just like piling up. And
Oh,
like I
yeah.
just
So
don't,
almost like you don't lose it, right?
yeah, basically. So I have like
Oh,
12 or
that's
13
way
credits still
different.
yet.
Dude,
So
that's even
like,
different than Amazon's fucking
yeah, so
music.
that's my thing where like I
Okay.
have a bunch of credits right now and I don't even know what to do with them currently. Like I
Binge it.
haven't looked into what kind of book. I just really haven't had the time. Like I have enough entertainment and enough thing to hold my focus, and when I
Sure.
have time where I just want to listen to stuff,
Yeah.
I have so many different options already that I don't even know what to go with for a lot of audiobooks until I hear about something. And then as soon as
Right.
I hear about it, I go, "Oh, damn." And then I go buy that and then I listen to that. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Kick ass.
Yep. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Because I never thought about that, but being married to a book nerd, I had listened to, and maybe this is something you'll do too. Well, once you run out of Audible credits, but I don't. It's not a great selection for probably what you're looking for. But like the public library has a digital version of the public library, and you can rent out
Oh,
audiobooks.
yeah.
Like you can rent them to your phone, so it'll take a download, right?
Yeah.
Essentially, and then yeah, it'll check it out.
Dude,
So
I'll be
yeah, it's pretty cool.
that sounds dope. I was going to say I'll be completely honest. Like I wasn't even thinking about the library until like 2 weeks ago. Where like,
Yeah,
so like
I
my
know.
son,
That's another reason why I had to bring this up, because the
yeah,
fucking library is dope, dude. They have
yeah,
movies and shit there.
I know it's crazy. And then like,
That's another
so
reason
my,
for this topic.
yeah,
Maybe that'll change the topic. I'll change the topic header to library's fucking dope, dude.
yeah. Well then, and we're talking about what we're reading and stuff. Honestly,
Yeah.
I was telling you like before we got on here, like really the only thing I'm reading right now is Pokemon because I'm playing the new Pokemon game. But the other thing that I didn't think about until like we started, doing this just now was that I do read kids books.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing that I didn't think about for the library. They had like an open house because my son starts school next year, so they had like an
Mm-hmm.
open house in the school
Mm-hmm.
that he'll be attending. So we were just like looking around and stuff, and they had the library in there, and I wasn't even thinking about it. And the lady was just like, "Yeah, my son, he's like always into like the books and stuff, and like we don't want to buy all of them, so we just rent them. Like they always have the newest books."
Mm-hmm.
And I was just
Mm-hmm.
like, I didn't even think about it. I'm like
Right.
buying all the books. Like I'm wasting money buying all these books that we read
I know,
through and then we just move on to
dude.
the next one because we're like, we already read that one.
Right. Right.
Like that makes so much
And now it
sense.
gets to
And
the age where it's just like, yeah, we read that one like
yeah,
3 fucking times, Dad. Come
yeah.
on.
And you feel stupid when they say that and you go, of course. Of course you could just rent a book and then
Right.
bring it back and get a different one.
Right.
I didn't even think about it. I don't know
I know,
why.
because the age of renting anything is gone, except for when it's that temporary spur of the moment, like, I'm renting this movie, I'm gonna watch it tonight, I want to watch it now,
Yeah. Right.
and it's that
Oh,
movie.
that's the biggest thing is I want to watch it now.
Right, and so you
Because
don't think about that with the books, right? Because you
yeah.
only you read it before you go to bed, so it's like an hour of your day, but you have to
Hmm.
think about it at, like, just after nap time, just
Yeah.
before nap time, like,
Right. Yeah, dude. It's crazy.
yeah,
It's weird
but, like,
shit.
it's kick ass.
For sure. For sure it is. And it's just weird that it's like never crossed my mind. It's like, oh, of course. It's exactly what a library is for.
Right.
And I don't have to buy it. I don't know why. Something about it like always makes me feel like I should buy it. But like that's definitely like just have like an afternoon or even an evening to just bring him there
Yeah.
and just be like, hey dude, like
Right.
this week, like what kind of books are we looking to like read for bedtime?
Right.
Like pick them out. Which ones look good?
Right. What do you
And you
want?
go to the store and you're looking at them because you look at the book and you flip it over and you're like, oh shit.
That just happened to us.
Yeah.
That just happened to us.
It's
There was a
crazy.
sweet Valentine's Day book at Target, and I was like, okay, it's the only one, Target exclusive. Here you guys go. You guys look it over. Of course. Kid's like, oh, yay, new book. Flips through it, whatever. Hand it to the wife. She does a little more in-depth research.
Yeah.
She reads a little bit while we're walking around the store. And then she's like, yeah, it's okay. And then I was like, okay, I'll scan it and see if it's on the Target Circle app. What? Did you see the fucking price of that thing?
Yeah, right.
And it was like
$22.99.
right.
Is that what this says?
That's a $1 a page, man. I'm not into that.
Yeah, right. It's a big book. You're like, what is going on here? $22.99. How many people are getting paid off of this thing?
Yeah, dude.
Oh,
It was
dude.
crazy. And so what I'm reading is I had a similar thing happen to me where there was this Nat Geo that kept coming up, where the magazines are at the checkout,
Yeah.
those like one-off
Uh-huh.
single edition, like this is the Princess Diana 20th anniversary Life
Right.
magazine. It's those like
Yeah.
limited edition prints. So we kept walking up to every time we went to a checkout, it's just like every checkout, I swear to
Yeah.
God, it was fucking there, and it was a Nat Geo Pirates edition. And
Oh,
I'm into pirates. I've just like kind of got a thing
sure.
for like I'm not it's not like one of my things, if you want to say it, but like I've always had a super big interest in pirates and just like the culture and like what it really
Mhm.
was, like what is the real history of it, because Pirates of the Caribbean makes it this crazy thing, and
Right.
that's a different thing. I just like the idea of sailing around and like, you know, fucking jacking ships and taking shit. It's like, what is going on there? Nat Geo, and it's like $20.
Okay.
It's like $19.99 for this magazine on the news rack. I'm like, God damn it. I really want to read this. That's a real pirate ship, real recreation of a pirate ship on the front. I opened it up. I know it's like, it starts in like the fucking 1400s or something. No, it starts with like Egypt and shit. It goes way back.
Okay.
And like pirating on the Mediterranean back in the day, you know?
Yep.
And I was like, God, I want to read this thing. I really do.
Yeah.
And then it just goes out. It falls off, you know, you go there 4 weeks in a row, it's there. And then you go on the 5th week and it's gone. And I was like, I'm going to check. There's got to be piles of these things somewhere that someone's grabbing. I'm going to go on eBay. Bam, snatch it off eBay for half price.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, dude. So I just started reading that casually, just like, yeah, I got it. Cool. Just put a bookmark in it and I just read it casually. And it's just one of those things that I was like, I actually kind of pursued reading for the first time in ever.
Nice. Yeah. You're thirsty for knowledge.
Yeah, exactly. And it's sort of started. I mean, the whole reason is, are thirsty for knowledge. So you put it. So I just was like into it. But when we talked about physical media, we talked a lot about magazines too. And I was just like, yeah, magazines are fucking cool. Like, I kind of want this. I kind of want to turn pages in a magazine. And I tried to find it digitally. I tried to go to the library. I tried all of those steps.
Yeah.
Fail. Like, it was nowhere. It was like, I couldn't fucking find it. So that happened. And I'm currently reading that. Then I decided I had this book. I'll call it right now. I had this book sitting on my desk, on my work desk for, oh God, I don't know. It was a long time. Almost 5 years, I'll say. And I can say that because I got it. Like, I can equate it to a big event in my life, right?
Okay.
It was The Last of Us graphic novel. Graphic novels count for reading, right?
Yeah, dude. Fuck yeah. It's reading is reading.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I think too.
Yeah. I mean, if people get to say I read your book when they listen to it on Audible, then actually reading a graphic novel is like
counts.
Real reading. It's gotta count. It's real reading. I think it counts more than listening to a book on Audible, but people still consider that reading a book. So
Right. Hell yeah. So
I consider it reading books. That's
yeah, because that's actually like what I've been more leaning on. So I think I completed my nerd trifecta now. My geek trifecta is like, I have technology and I have video games and now I have comic books.
Nice.
I kind of started getting into it. Here's the thing. In the first half, if you weren't there and you're only finding this on Friday, if you weren't there for this part, then you're going to miss out. But like, you started talking about the collectibles and the Pringles and shit like that.
Yep.
Okay. So I kicked off my my like reading as of recently with the Last of Us American Dream. I actually had a physical copy of it and it was like sitting on my desk for like 5 years.
Okay.
And I finally said, I'm going to fucking read it. This was prior to HBO. This was just before The Last of Us Part 2. I said, I'm going to read this thing and then play The Last of Us Part 2. You know, like I was kind of timing it all out and I finally just dedicated myself to reading it. And it sort of kicked off this graphic novel kick that I'm on. I don't know if it's a kick. I don't know if I'm going to keep doing it. But it kicked it off. And then I had written down this. I listened to a podcast and it was called Concrete Jungle. And this is where I'm getting into the collectible thing that we were talking about in the first half, or that we got into with the first half.
Okay.
So there's this graphic novel. It was called Concrete Jungle. And I read it, and then it was good. It had a really good suspenseful ending. I try to buy all of them in one because, like, comics can come out as like every week, and then all of a sudden there's 12 of them, and you can just get 12 of them in one graphic novel.
Oh, I was not aware.
It's kind of like that.
Okay.
It's not always like that, but it's sort of like, you can read it in 12 small parts, or you can wait and
Sure.
you can get it all at once, kind of like TV in a way.
Yeah.
So this is a thing that happens, and I try to get them all in one. I don't know what happened. I don't know if it was like, I just want to try this out because the preview was okay, but I'm willing to spend $8. So I get it on Google Play. Like I
Okay.
get the not physical edition of this one.
Sure.
And then like 2 weeks ago, I'm like, I'm going to buy part 2 because I think this is just 2-part series. And I can't
Okay.
fucking find it anywhere. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? And I'm
Yeah.
totally pissed off about it. Goddamn NFTs.
Oh. Gross.
They fucking went NFT. So you have to buy in to their NFT to get the copies now. They shut them down from Google. I can still get my copy because I bought it, right? So Google still keeps it live. But like, I can't get version 2 because they cut them off from Google. They fucking went the NFT route, dude. The digital collectibles. I'm okay giving them $8 for my copy. But now you're making me buy a fucking NFT for it?
Yeah.
What am I going to do with that fucking NFT? Nothing.
Can you... I mean, I don't know. Do you sell it then after that? Like, I'm done reading it. Now I'll sell it to you at a discount?
Right. Who wants to buy the NFT for this comic? Like,
yeah.
I don't know how successful this comic was. But generally speaking, it's not a huge comic. It's not being made into an anime or anything like that.
Right.
It doesn't have an already successful video game franchise backing it. Like,
sure.
And they're just like, buy our NFT. Look, I'm not against you making some money.
Yeah.
Like, you're really just going to make me buy this digital collectible.
Right. Yeah.
This digital currency, whatever.
I'm not against anybody like making an NFT, but like just have it be an NFT. To have it be like you must buy the NFT to get the second part of the story.
Right.
Is like, that seems like dog shit. Like, what do you mean?
Right. That's the part that bothers me too. Right. Because again, if you're selling an NFT to fund whatever the NFT is, like I've heard that Mila Kunis and Ashton Kutcher have a cartoon that when you buy the cartoon, it's an NFT or some shit like that.
Okay.
And like, that's how they funded the cartoon. And I'm like, okay, they got that cartoon made because like each one is an NFT or something like that. It's like, okay. Maybe I'm misinterpreting that a little bit. I think that might be a little bit weird.
Yeah, dude. There's that whole world is confusing to me, man.
It is pretty confusing. But yes, you're right.
Dude.
Like, this wasn't an NFT, and now all of a sudden they put it behind an NFT wall. It's fucked up. I didn't like it.
Random side note, have you ever heard of the podcast that's like, the commercial is the most confusing shit I've ever heard?
Yes, I think I have.
Where
tell
the
me more,
NFT
please.
is like the show, and they're like, oh no, it's like the NFT is like what talks to you, and you're like, what are you talking about?
Yes, I have heard that.
Yes. Yeah. Does that make any sense to you? I can't even repeat it. It's so confusing. Yep. I can't tell you what I heard.
It was part of this. It was actually part of how I started to get on the path of like cryptos and NFTs are kind of scammy and pyramid schemey, and like that commercial actually motivated me to do more research because I'm just like, this sounds like complete bullshit.
exactly what I thought, except for I didn't like put in the time and energy to actually like look into it. I'm like, I literally like all I thought to do was like, I'm putting this in my back pocket to ask people about. But I'm still so confused about it is that I
Right.
don't even know what to say when I ask people.
Right. Right. Yeah,
Like I
and no,
just
that's actually that's a perfect example of this. Like, or that's total tie back to this sort of
yeah,
thing. Is like you took it down off of places that seem to have a pretty good future ahead of them. Google
yeah,
and other they seem to be like they're going to be around for a little while,
sure.
and you took it down off of that to hide it behind an NFT paywall. So I'm buying an NFT, and then as a prize for getting the NFT, I get the the art that you're actually selling. Like, I just
Yeah.
couldn't wrap my head around it because
Yeah,
the
dude.
the comic books were a reward for buying the NFT.
Okay, right.
That's the method you decided to go with of income? Like, ooh,
Yeah.
ooh. Did
Yeah.
I say concrete jungle? Because I meant concrete park. I hope I've been saying concrete
Mm,
park. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to edit it. It doesn't fucking matter. Concrete jungle is just a general term for a city. So,
right.
but either way, the comic is
That all
concrete
ties back
park.
together in my head randomly when you're talking about the concrete jungle and stuff. And all I could think of like when I was talking to other people about that NFT podcast was John Mulaney has a joke where if he was a Def Jam comic back in the day,
Mhm.
he'd rip Home Alone 2, Lost in New York apart. And he's like, "You seen this shit?" Talking about Home Alone, and all I could think of like doing the same thing was because I don't have any other way to explain what I'm even talking about. So I just want to walk up to people that know about NFTs and just be like, "You seen this shit? You seen this NFTs hosting a podcast shit?" And just hope they know what I'm talking about.
Right, right.
Because his joke is like, "You seen this Home Alone 2 shit? Lost in New York. It's a grant system, motherfucker." And talking about like the numbers are all like, "Where you want to go? 35th and 7th or whatever." He's like 12 up and over, 2 over, you simple bitch.
That's pretty funny. That's pretty
Yeah.
funny.
But that's all I can think about is because I heard that commercial like 3 or 4 times, and every time I was like, this just confuses me more. I
Oh,
thought I was
yeah,
starting to get a little bit of a grasp on what an NFT
right.
was. And then they're like, your favorite NFTs host podcasts now. And it was just
Right.
like, that doesn't
You're like, nope.
compute.
What
I don't.
does not compute? What is that NFT? Just an AI? Like, okay, it
Right.
doesn't make any sense. Yes.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't.
This week
You're
on
right.
Audible, your favorite comic book reads itself.
Right.
What did you say? Like, not a narrator? No. The comic book does all the work.
What?
I'm so lost. And they're just like, "Yep,
Yes,
give
you
us
are.
money
You
for it.
should buy it.
Buy it. It's collectible."
So, yeah, to the comic, back to the comic book thing is it's funny because the thing is I just was watching Perfect the Craft, I think is what it's called. Um there's this brand of whiskey that does a series of like perfecting the craft, is I think that's what it's called. And Anthony Bourdain did the first season, and then
Okay.
Questlove did seasons 2 and 3.
Okay.
And they just get these people who are like masters in in what they do.
Yeah.
And so I just had finished. I was like, oh yeah, I got to go back to that because I know Quest is doing the second season, so I got to go back and I got to finish the Anthony one. I think I got like 2 or 3 seasons. So I just Googled him, and then all of a sudden he came up on Rogan, and I was like, oh yeah, him and Rogan seem like they're pretty good buds, right? And so I started
Yeah.
looking, and I'm like, huh, they didn't really do any podcasts together. and I clicked on the first one, and
Yeah.
it's old. It's pretty
Yeah.
fucking old. And Anthony Bourdain goes, "Yeah, I don't know. I'm working on a few things. Like, I don't know. What do you want me to? Okay, go to this show." Which that show was canceled way already. Like when I'm listening to this, that show was long
Yeah.
canceled, and another show had already come in and replaced it and been canceled. And Anthony's death has already happened, so it was way weird to listen to.
Yeah.
It was super like time travel. And he goes,
Right.
"Yeah, we're working on a comic book, like a super dark graphic, like back in the day, violent stuff, like kind of the
Yeah.
shit that I grew up on, like the stuff you weren't supposed to read, not the Marvel stuff, the other stuff." He's like,
Sure.
"I got a guy. We're working on a thing. Should be out soon." And I'm like, "Well, that fucker's obviously out now."
Right.
So I look it up, and Get Euro is what it's called. Get Jiro. And it's a chef.
Okay.
It's like a chef graphic novel where like the chefs have power. Like the chefs are almost gangs in a way.
Oh.
And Euro is like an outlier. And
Yeah.
yeah, dude, I found a physical copy at our local bookstore. And I bought
Nice.
that son of a bitch.
That's pretty
Yeah. So
cool.
I was super pumped. And it's super violent. Like there's like a dude getting his head chopped off and blood and shit.
Nice.
And
Yeah.
yeah, it was super sick.
Dude.
And so it kind of just like I went from The Last of Us to Euro to Get Euro. And I was like, I think I'm into this.
Yeah. Dude, that's dope. Like some of that stuff is violent for sure. I remember that shit.
Oh
Like
yeah.
when I was younger, my parents had a camper, like a permanent camper for the summer at a campground.
Oh yeah,
Like it would
sick.
just sit. Yeah. So we would go up there, and the campground had like the main office, and the office had
Oh yeah,
like
yeah.
it was like a commons area where there's like a pool table and a couple of arcade games,
Oh yeah, for
and
sure.
then they had
I
like a
remember
little
those.
store, and then like some days it'd be rainy and you had nothing else to do, and you walk up there and they'd have
Right.
like comic books.
No shit.
And yeah, and like I wasn't like a big comic book guy, but every once in a while I get them. And there's this one where it's like a Batman, but the Batman has like a different kind of like mask on, and he looks like a ninja. And I was
What?
all about ninjas. Like this is when Mortal Kombat came out.
Oh yeah,
So
dude.
it's like that time. So I'm like, hell yeah. And I bring that back. And like page 2, this guy is like shown jumping up, and he's like full force, like legs cocked back so knees are coming down, driving into this dude's chest, and it's just like
Oh.
blood, like two,
Whoa.
like double knees
Holy
to the chest, like
shit.
just murdered a man. And I'm like, holy
No.
shit, dude. I did
What?
not see this being this hardcore.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's a crazy comic book. And I'm like, damn, I had no idea comic books were this hardcore.
Yeah.
And I
That must
never,
be a crazy opener. Like, I
yeah.
love that you found that as a kid because, like, again, I'm not a comic book. Like, I just am now in my adulthood completing my like nerd trifecta, as I call it, and getting into comics. I had no idea. Like, I love that you found that as a kid.
Yeah, on accident too. It's just
Right,
like a bored
right, right.
rainy day.
Yeah.
And I'm like I'm not a huge Batman fan, but this is like a different Batman ninja guy. So I like open it up, and I'm like, holy shit, this ninja's
Holy
legit. He
shit.
just straight murdered that dude. Yeah. And that was
Dude,
back in the
that's
time of like Mortal
crazy.
Kombat where you're like getting the cheat codes to just watch the
The
fatalities.
fate, yeah, yeah, for
You
sure.
get to that video where it's like do-do-doom, cha,
Right.
do-do-doom, cha, just over and over and over, just watching all the deaths. And then you're just like, they're like, that video game's so violent, why don't you go read a comic book? And I'm like, okay. And I'm like, oh shit,
Oh shit. Page
can't believe
2. Motherfucker
page
got
2
burnt.
just straight, just oh my god, that one's more realistic than these other things too. Those other ones are easily discernible as fake. Like
Right,
there's
right.
no way that chick just took down her mask and bit that dude's face off.
Right,
That didn't
right,
really
right.
happen. But a
This
dude
guy just
jumping,
like
yeah,
leapt in the air and landed on someone's chest and collapsed his
double
lungs
knees
and
into the chest. Like
right.
looking at that was like, that's a real move. That would suck. I
Right.
believe this.
Oh man, that's crazy. You don't remember what it is though? I'm curious. Like,
No, for real, it was a Batman. It was like, but it was like a special different. It was a Batman comic, but
oh,
he had like slightly different mask, and he was like a
there,
ninja.
yes. I can't think of it right now, which is proof to anybody who's listening. Like, seriously, leave it in the comments. There is an actual Batman that is a killer that does kill, because the Batman does not.
Oh,
And so there's like a counterpart. His name is like Red Hood or something like that. And
dude, I don't know this.
and
This
he's like the Deadpool of Wolverine. He's like Wolverine's Deadpool. You know what I'm saying?
okay, yeah, that
Because
makes sense.
Wolverine is an X-Man and like they don't really kill, which I don't understand. How does Wolverine not kill anybody? He has to, right? He's got fucking claws in his hand. But he's nowhere near
Oh, he
Deadpool because Deadpool's the M rated.
have you seen Logan?
No.
Logan is the
That's R
movie.
rated though, ain't it?
That one's hardcore.
Yeah.
He murders people like a motherfucker in that movie.
Okay. So maybe I'm wrong with X-Men then. Maybe murder does happen and we just were watching the cartoons that were where it wasn't
Yeah.
allowed.
Oh,
The
I think
kid
a
cartoon.
lot of stuff too when you look back on it, you're like, "Oh, a lot of people died." Like a lot.
Right.
It's people dying left and right and you just
Right.
don't think anything of it. Like even just the cars. It's a car
Oh,
chase and then there's an
right.
explosion. You don't think anything of it. But
Right.
then like
Then you
when
go
you're a
like, "Oh
kid,
yeah,
but then
there
you
was like
think
4
about it and
people
you're
in that
like,
fucking
"Yeah,
car."
there was
Wasn't
4
it?
people in that car. That explosion, like they all died for sure.
Right.
Those
You
people
don't
are all
survive that
dead."
kind of explosion and fire. It's just
Yeah.
doesn't.
I just tried to Google it and like my attempt at Googling did not pull it up.
No.
When I
We're
put
gonna
in like
figure it out after
I
this
was like
though.
Ninja Batman and there's like there's a couple Ninja Turtles Batman
Right,
crossovers.
right,
Like
right.
it's
Yeah, of course there was.
so
Of
I'm
course
like,
there
oh
was.
damn. Yeah. No. I gotta be way
Okay.
more specific. I still have it. I still have it.
Oh,
I
because you
just
bought
have
it.
to
You bought it from the store. It wasn't like a rental that was sitting next to the pool table.
right. No, it was
Oh,
just a comic book on it. They had some like Archie comics and some other and I was just
and you were
like,
like, "I'm gonna pick that fucking weird looking Batman."
yeah, I'm going with that weird looking Batman. I'm not reading RG.
Yeah, dude.
That's not my jam.
Okay. Well, okay. Let's save that for after the podcast. Let's go ahead and wrap this shit
For
up.
sure.
Oh, I know one thing that I didn't get to in the beginning as I
Yeah.
wrap things up here is the reviews. Please go over to, I think, Spotify in the app. Go over to iTunes. Leave us a review, please. It helps out a lot. It
Yeah.
definitely
Definitely.
has an effect on the algorithm.
For sure. Definitely does.
Yeah, big time.
Yep.
Also, don't forget, if you're listening to this on podcast, we're over on Real AF TV. Or we're at Real AF TV. Remember, Real like Fish and Real on YouTube. So you can just find us that way, youtube.com/at Real AF TV. That is a real thing that they started to do over there on YouTube. Super dope. Contact us. We like to talk to you back and forth.
Yes.
There is a back and forth
Yo.
at realaf.tv/contact. Remember, Real like Fish and Real with 2 E's in the middle. Tim,
Yeah.
what did I miss? Socials.
Socials.
Look us up.
Patreon. Do you say Patreon?
Patreon. Yep. No, thank you. Yep.
We got Patreon.
We are on Patreon. That's for sure. I know there's a lot of video game stuff going on. You want us to do an extra Patreon podcast that's just about
Hell
video
yeah.
game stuff? Shit,
Oh,
we'll do it. Go over to Patreon, give $1,
I'll do that.
DM us. How about that? There's a call out. Good till
Yeah.
the end of February.
You want a video game section? I'll do that every podcast. I do that.
Yeah, dude.
Dude, I gotta say too, like what I've been listening to on Audible, if anybody's listening for a good listen, both of David Goggins' books and Tom Segura's book.
Oh,
I've listened to both
Tom has
of
a book.
those.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, Tom's book is good. Goggins' books are better, but Goggins' books are better because they're just insanity. That man is a fucking animal. It's ridiculous what that man does.
Really?
Dude.
That's crazy.
I can't even. It's this man.
Okay. I'll look it up. And that's actually something else. Like I started looking at buying just audiobooks, like just audiobooks straight from the source, like Meat Eater.